When the MSG Square opened in 2023, it broke the internet, and it was quite obvious why. It was more than 1 million LED panels and the biggest screen on the face of the planet. The interior screen has a resolution of 16K, which makes you feel like you're part of the movie. Or, if you're into concerts, the Sphere can handle that too. Whatever it does it better than the existing entertainment venue. The enormous success of the Las Vegas Sphere made sense to create another one. The only question was where. That's the question faced by James Dolan, the billionaire owner of the Sphere in Las Vegas. Out of the 10,000 cities in the world, only 3 were proposed as a potential second host. The first was London, the next was Abu Dhabi, and the last one was New York. Dolan's personal favorite was New York, since he already operates the Madison Square Garden there. So naturally, New Yorkers were ready for some Vegas-style fun. Dolan also fanned the flames further by stating that he dreams of building the Sphere in New York. But dreams don't always become a reality. Despite the excitement, the plans for an NYC Sphere hit a wall. At first, it seemed like a no-brainer. The city has people, the energy, and the love for big, bold attractions. But somewhere along the way, something or someone stood in the way. So, what stopped the Sphere from coming to New York? The very things that make New York iconic are the same reasons why the Sphere couldn't get off the ground. The city, especially Manhattan, is densely packed with towering skyscrapers, crowded streets, and intolerable traffic. Fitting a massive globe into the city's already crowded infrastructure is a near impossible dream. Take the Vegas Sphere, for instance. A true behemoth, towering at 366 feet and stretching 500 feet wide. It's a marvel of modern engineering. Need some perspective? The Statue of Liberty could comfortably kick back inside it, with plenty of room to spare. The only way to secure a spot in New York for something this big is to demolish something. Take the example of Tower 5th. This was a proposed skyscraper in Midtown Manhattan. For the construction to proceed, a couple of low-rise buildings, one of them being the Venezuelan consulate, had to be demolished. In the end, the plan fell through and was altogether abandoned. Now, for the sake of the argument, let's assume that space isn't an issue. However, a developer still has to obtain the necessary permits to proceed with construction. And New York's strict zoning regulations don't make it any easier. There have been dozens of projects that are left hanging in the air just because of this reason. And even if you get past all that, make sure that your project isn't overshadowing any historic building. Otherwise, your project will have the same fate as 15 Penn Plaza. This was a proposed tower to be constructed close to the Empire State Building. Long story short, the project faced a lot of heat for ruining the city's skyline, and the idea was discarded. Then, there's the financial aspect. A glittery venue like the Sphere isn't cheap, and building one in New York will cost an eye-watering sum. Globally, New York City is consistently ranked among the top most expensive cities for land purchases. The price per foot ranges from $540 all the way up to $1,600. And that's just the beginning. The actual construction will cost much more. After all, the Vegas Sphere cost $2.3 billion to build. This officially makes it the most expensive entertainment venue built in the city. With an initial cost estimation of $1.2 billion, the MSG Sphere is already $1 billion over budget. The situation got so bad that James Dolan had to lay off some of his workers and sell his stake in Tao Group Hospitality. Dolan was also sued twice by investors who claimed that he downplayed the expenses. He allegedly destroyed documents and fired those who wanted to tell the truth. Despite going through all this trouble, the MSG Sphere is still a financial disaster. During its first quarter, it lost around $193 million. In its third quarter, the company suffered a loss of $125 million. Much of this loss came from a failed bid to launch a second sphere in East London. Yes, the London plan had failed. In 2018, it was announced that MSG was building a sphere in Stratford, East London. The chosen site was a 4.7-acre parcel of land that was last used as a coach park in the 2012 Olympics. Since then, the place had been lying neglected until it was bought by James Dolan. The London Sphere would have been 300 feet tall, slightly smaller than the Vegas Sphere. With a cost of $2.7 billion, it could accommodate 21,000 spectators. All was going well until London's Mayor Sadiq Khan vetoed the plan. He called the sphere bulky, unduly dominant, and incongruous. His rejection was based on the fact that the thousands of LED panels would cause severe light pollution and disturb nearby residents. The giant globe would be lit from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day. Its glare would have affected anyone living within a 500-foot radius, and that wasn't okay for many. As a response, MSG Entertainment offered blackout blinds to nearby residents. This was perceived as an insulting move to those already against the project. On the other hand, James Dolan was furious that after spending millions on acquiring the site and engaging in a 5-year planning process, it all came to a crashing halt. He acknowledged that while a couple hundred residents opposed the project, the sphere's construction would have economically benefited the area. The project would have created 4,000 construction jobs and more than 1,000 permanent jobs. In the end, Sphere Entertainment announced that they were disappointed in London's decision and concentrating on other forward-thinking cities. After London was dropped from the list, only 2 candidates were left behind. The question is who will host the next Sphere? When James Dolan was asked that very question, he replied by saying, "New York isn't ready for a sphere. And even if he did try, it would be too difficult to get through the processes." Dolan probably learned his lesson from operating the famous Madison Square Garden in New York. Since the 1960s, the MSG has played host to sporting events, concerts, and performances. This makes it the oldest sporting facility in the New York metropolitan region. Yet despite being an architectural landmark, the MSG is facing a serious threat to its existence. The thing is, MSG is built on top of Penn Station. The property's boundaries impose severe constraints on the station that impede the movement of passengers. Many officials insist that the only way to create a truly better station is by taking MSG off the top of it. To make matters worse, MSG's 50-year permit expired in 2013. The venue was given a 10-year extension which ended in 2023. With the added pressure from transport authorities, Dolan wants to have an immortal permit to secure MSG's future. But that wasn't really possible. In September 2023, the City Council granted the venue a 5-year extension, which will expire in 2028. That's the shortest extension in the venue's history. This pretty much sums up why James Dolan is reluctant to make the second Sphere in New York. If an old landmark has to fight for its existence, we can only imagine the struggle a new one has to go through. So, London is gone. New York is gone too. And that leaves only one city, Abu Dhabi. In October 2024, Sphere Entertainment announced that Abu Dhabi was selected to be the home of the world's second Sphere. At present, no exact location or timeline for construction has been revealed for the project. Abu Dhabi Department of Culture will pay Sphere Entertainment a franchise initiation fee for the right to build and operate the venue. Let's hope that the second Sphere is a commercial success, unlike its big brother in Vegas. For years, UAE has been rebranding itself as the go-to vacation hub. even if that means spending crazy money on even crazier projects. The Sphere isn't the only project that the country borrowed from Las Vegas. Wynn Resorts is also developing a luxury resort at Wynn Al Marjan Island in UAE. The company was the first to be awarded a commercial gaming license in a historic decision. Now, with the new Sphere, the Emirates and Las Vegans share another common denominator. It appears that the UAE is obsessed with spherical projects. At one point, the country was considering creating an artificial moon resort. Unlike the Sphere, the moon would have been a full circle. It's designed to have a diameter of 735 feet, with a 3-floor platform below. Inside, there are 4,000 hotel suites, all stacked on top of each other. The upper half of the floor is dedicated to a 10-acre lunar colony. Guests can experience what it feels like to be on the moon in a 90-minute tour. This idea was the brainchild of a Canada-based firm, Moon World Resorts. The company's founder, Michael Henderson, envisioned 4 mini-moons on the Earth. His dream was to make space tourism accessible for all. Guests would reach the lunar surface via a space shuttle and ride across craters in moon buggies. Henderson promised that his lunar colony would be an authentic environment, something that makes you believe that you're actually on the moon. This unique lunar experience is going to cost you $500, and if you think that's a lot, an actual commercial spaceflight costs anywhere from $200 to $400 grand. That's why you will only find the mega-rich boarding such flights. The Moon Resort can accommodate 2.5 million guests annually on its lunar surface. This project is estimated to cost a whopping $5 billion. But Henderson isn't worried about the cost. He estimates that a single moon resort can bring in $1.8 billion a year, with about $500 million in profit. Moon resorts will also incorporate sky villas, known as the private residence at Moon. These luxury units will be housed internally within the main superstructure. Approximately 300 units will be available for purchase. Sky Villa owners will also be members of the exclusive private members club at Moon. The 3-tier platform below the hotel will feature spas, bars, a shopping center, a theater, a planetarium, and not to mention various lagoons. The plan was to license at least 4 moon resorts in the US, UAE, Singapore, and Spain. As you can expect, these plans never materialized, and the reason is quite obvious. The resort claims to have 4,000 hotel rooms, all without access to a single window. Most people want a tropical getaway where they have access to nature and the sun. It's hard to imagine how claustrophobic it would get, with all those rooms stacked on top of each other and then covered with a curtain wall. The idea of the Moon Resort was pitched almost at the same time when Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson made headlines for their respective trips to outer space. With the growing excitement around space travel, Henderson's moon idea quickly caught media attention. However, this was as far as it could go. The design was limited to comic book-style sketches, and there was no clarity as to where it would be built. Every depiction showed the moon at some different location. Some even imagined it on Dubai's man-made islands. Rest assured that this won't be the last absurd idea proposed in the construction industry. In fact, we have a collection of those in this next video you're about to see. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we will catch up in the next one.